Have you ever wondered what you get for your money with suspension? Do you even need to spend any? For episode 3 of the project, I'm setting out to see what you can get for your hard-earned cash and how much each stage changes the T7. Welcome back to the T7 project. If you're new here, welcome to the Brake Magazine T7 project. My name's Llel and this is my YouTube channel. In this video, we're taking a T7 and seeing how far we can take it off-road. If you enjoy this video, liking and subscribing is massive for the YouTube algorithm, or taking a trip to my Patreon would be amazing. Now let's get into that suspension. Instead of bolting expensive suspension into my project bike and leaving it there, I wanted to see what would happen if we put 3 different price points of suspension into the bikes to find out what the difference is when you spend more or less money. So we've got 3 10RA 700s, 3 different suspension setups, and 3 different riders, and no cameraman, so you'll have to bear with us on that. Our test crew is myself and these 2 beauties, Andy and Mike. They both own T7s and have different suspension setups fitted. They've kindly brought their bikes along to make this test happen. Lastly, all the suspension in this test was provided for review for free, but we have no obligation to say anything positive or negative, and on this channel, there's no sponsorship for review products. For this test, our premium suspension setup is my project bike. This bike is all singing and dancing. I headed to Rally Raid UK with the bike where they fitted it out in their workshop. They even had one of our photos on the wall. At the front of my bike, we have Rally Raid Suspension's Tractive built Extreme twin chamber cartridge kit. That is paired with a Rally Raid Adventure shock on the rear. This setup is high end. The forks feature a 35mm piston, which is much bigger than stock, preload adjustment, and all of the other adjustments you would expect. You can get a long travel version as well, but I opted to not have that. This kit is just under £2,400 all in, sprung for my weight, plus any labor for fitment. The mid-range setup is Mike's bike. His bike is fitted with the popular KTech ORVS kit in the forks and the KTech piston and shim stack in the rear shock. The ORVS kit in the forks features a new piston assembly and new valving, which should make a significant difference. The parts for this is around £560, including stiffer springs for Mike's weight. Labor can reach about double that depending on how much work you do yourself and how much KTech or your local KTech dealer do. And our budget setup is Andy's bike. His T7 is rocking the simplest of setups, a Hyper Pro progressive spring kit. The Hyper Pro kit comes with progressive fork springs for your weight and new fork oil. Sometimes this is a different way and sometimes it isn't, depending on the bike. On the shock is a progressive spring, and that comes to a wallet-friendly total of £244 plus any labor costs for the fitting of parts. Before we go any further, it needs to be said, I understand the scientific accuracy of this test is limited. We've got 3 different riders on 3 different bikes with 3 different setups and 3 different sets of tires. We're limited by budget, we're limited by time, we're not a big enough channel to overcome those things at the moment, so bear with us on that. Don't crucify us in the comments for it. We've come to our first test area. We've got a few different test areas over the course of today. And what we're trying to do is understand what each of the suspension setups do, what they give you, what they don't give you, and the parameters you're working in. This first area is a good area to get a good feeling for the bike and understand a little bit of what it's doing. We've got a nice downhill with a few rocks on it. You have to be quite precise with your line. We've got a nice bit of trail with some small bumps that kind of kick the bike around a little bit of big hit capacity, and a little bit of in between as well.
It's the first time I've used the bike off-road since I fitted the kit. My first impression really was, yeah, this is adequate, this is fine.
Yeah.
It felt a lot better than the standard bike did.
Yeah.
And it didn't really become apparent that it wasn't as good as the other stuff until I rode the other bikes.
Yeah.
And I think that what really did it was I'd only ridden probably 300 or 400 yards on the KTech bike, and it felt like a magic carpet by comparison.
There's a few things, I know the standard bike really well, and there's a few things that it immediately did much better. I think the fork is almost better than the shock in a way. It sits up a bit more, it doesn't clatter through the stroke quite as much as the standard bike. I feel like I can't quite put the wheels where I want to, and I don't quite know why. Watching this back, I think you can see why. Coming onto this downhill, you can see in the freeze frame, the Hyper Pro bike on the left has used a lot more of the suspension stroke. Because of this, it rebounds more, and that's what makes it feel imprecise, the front wheel pushing away all the time. You can see this when I'm braking for the corner at the bottom of the hill too. Here, it's used way more travel. The most interesting part of this is that the KTech bike feels way smoother and plusher on those smaller bumps, even though it's not moving as much.
So when I got onto the other bikes, they went where I wanted to put them. And that's kind of where, when the penny dropped for me, said, yeah, you know, the Hyper Pro kit is a great kit and it is an improvement over standard. But really that bike does massively benefit from valve, you know, from damping improvement.
That KTech suspension mic, because you said at first it felt odd.
Yeah,
Why?
I've rode the standard bike a great deal, and putting the KTech on, the first thing I noticed was the suspension was moving a lot more.
Yeah.
And at first that wasn't very comfortable because it was moving quicker and there was kind of less stiction and it was kind of moving through the stroke and using more of the travel. And a part of that was, oh, look, it's got fancy suspension on, isn't that great? And a part of that is kind of imagining it's going to be like an enduro bike or a competition bike, but of course it's not. It's actually a bike that uses its travel in a particular way. There is an element of comfort about it, I think, that still needs to remain. But once I managed to kind of slow the suspension down a little bit through the stroke, put some compression damping on it, I think the bike just came alive, really. It felt like a different bike, but it felt like a different bike in a good way rather than a bad way.
I hadn't expected the jump from like a standard bike to the KTech bike to be that big. Do you know, it's really does a couple of things like exceptionally well for what is essentially quite a simple change. You know, it's just valving really and a piston, and it really feels like a big jump. And I think the other thing as well for me is that the gap to the rally raid stuff, like there is a gap there, but it's really much closer, isn't it? Do you know, I can ride the KTech stuff around that loop, especially that we did. It just felt really comfortable. I was precise with it. I got on it and I rode it one lap of I don't know, what is it, 400 meters, and I was like, oh, I get what this is doing. Like it's kind of predictable and consistent, and yeah, we're away and I'm happy. Do you know, I can get on it and I can hop off things and ride through a ditch and it goes, no, nice. Comparing the three again with Andy in the gully, we can see comparable performance up until he hits a rock right here. The KTech and the Rally Raid respond in the same way, but the Hyper Pro veers slightly offline. That means he now has to correct to get back online and in control. It's only small, but it's a significant difference when riding. That brings us to the Rally Raid product suspension. Comparing to the KTech, the gap isn't enormous. You can see that A, I'm happier carrying more speed, and B, it seems to hold up in the stroke better even though I'm faster. As well as feeling precise, the other improvement was that it felt much less important where the wheels were. If I strayed offline, the consequence was non-existent. The end result is more rolling speed across the ground. From the video footage, we learned that the Rally Raid fitted bike is almost always the fastest bike down the hill for each rider without feeling sketchy. The second test we planned was a harsh hit to see how the suspension held up and dealt with sudden bottoming. We used a poorly shaped mound that jumped to flat. We hit this about 10 times on each bike and filmed as much as we could. I tried to ride consistently and do landings with and without positive throttle. Let's start with a Hyper Pro and the improvements and then the limitations of it.
Okay, well for me, I think my skill level, I think let myself down on the jump section a little bit. What it did really make apparent for me was that the rear shock in particular, it bottomed out quite heavily. So I think it exposed the limitations of the standard damping, I think. Again, we've talked about it before, the Hyper Pro is a marked improvement over standard, but it is only a spring kit at the end of the day, and it can't work miracles with what is lacking in the standard shock, I think.
Well, without a doubt, on the standard bike, I would have avoided that jump altogether. And I think all three bikes actually jumped very nicely off of it. They landed in different ways.
Yeah.
I mean, the Hyper Pro kind of landed with a bit of a crash, and you kind of knew that you've jumped off of something.
Yeah.
And I think both of the other bikes soaked the landing up quite nicely. You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the difference. I mean...
Using the slow-mo video, we can measure how quickly each bike reaches bottom out through video frames. The Hyper Pro was always 4 frames, regardless of how high the bike was. The other two were between 5 and 7, which is very unscientifically 20 to 50% slower. In this test, the KTech Suspension stood out for how progressively it dealt with bottoming out. I've set the Rally Raid suspension up myself, and I hadn't got it as good as the KTech started. After multiple laps of comparison, I went back and added in 2 clicks of high-speed compression to the Rally Raid shock. 2 clicks of anything on the Rally Raid suspension makes a significant difference, and it went from being worse than the KTech to completely equal. Where you do notice a small difference is in the takeoff. The Rally Raid suspension is a lot more alive and has more pop and more hop, and is much more sensitive to the clickers, which means you can make it work how you would like it to.
I think that it's so plush and absorbent that it sucks up the up ramp side of the jump slightly too much, and then so you have to ride around that a little bit.
That's a good way of summing it up. Yeah, definitely.
We're at test number 3 in the woods, and we've got a loop here which has had rally cars run on it. It's had a lot of bikes ride over it, and the ground is pretty beat up. It's not whooped out, but it's got a lot of small square-edged bumps, a lot of chatter almost. So the point of this test is to see what the bikes feel like in that environment. We spun laps around our final loop for an hour and learned more than we had in the previous 2 tests. After a long day, we sat down to unjumble it all. We sat on that mound and waffled our way through our conclusions and thoughts for an age. I'm going to release the full ramble on our Patreon page if you're interested, but for now, this is the summary of it. The Hyper Pro kit is a good starting point, especially if your riding is relatively basic or road-based. It's more balanced than the stock bike, but it doesn't solve the valving problems at all. We liked it, it's safer, and if you want something cheap and simple, it works okay. The KTech thoroughly impressed us all. As a plug-and-play solution, it's great value. It has good bottoming resistance and a nice balance of comfort in the suspension, and is generally a lovely all-round setting. It's quite effortless to ride, and I would describe the feeling as functional and a safe adventure bike. If the stock T7 came valved like this, almost no one would bother going any further. The clickers seem to work better than stock too, so you get some adjustability that isn't there on stock, which meant we were able to make it respond to input a little quicker and provide more ground feedback. And lastly, we have the Rally Raid products. It's infinitely capable, encourages you to ride quicker, and is the best or equal at every single task. It's capable of being incredibly supple, balanced, providing good feeling of the ground, and having good bottoming resistance. However, it does come with some trade-offs. In my experience, it's less plug and play than the KTech. It's hugely adjustable, and small adjustments make a big difference. That means you can be very precise, but it's just as easy to make it work poorly as it is to make it amazing. It took me a lot of fettling and testing to get the spring balance right, and in this project, even though it's amazing now, I think I haven't quite got it where I want it. However, even as it is, the setup was also the most fun for all of us to ride, but as Mike delicately put it...
The thing is, it's definitely the most bike you could probably break an arm on and still laugh about it after, because you shouldn't really be doing that.
In the final episode of the series, we're taking the T7 on a proper enduro ride. Big hills, single track, and getting a long way out of my comfort zone. Oh, and eating nice lunches. I'll see you there.